Peace and peace. What's going on, y'all? Blackstorm. How's everybody doing? Hope you're having a wonderful day. What I'm here to talk about today is why you should never, ever, 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 ever be scared of magic or witchcraft. Those two terms have a lot of people scared, a lot of people nervous, especially the term magic, the term witchcraft, or the term occult. Let's get into these terms a little bit to find out what they mean, explain them, make them plain so that we come to a better understanding. And this way, we're not so scared when we hear these things, or that we don't feel like evil is going to happen to us if we engage in the occult, witchcraft, or magic. When we talk about the occult just means hidden. The occult is the same word as esoteric, which means hidden. It just means that it is hidden knowledge, or knowledge that the masses is not aware of, or knowledge that the collective is not aware of. It's not highly publicized. It's not in the media. It's not something that is given to you in school. So it is hidden. It is only for people who go seeking that knowledge. So that is the occult. When we're talking about witchcraft, witchcraft was a term that was created by Europeans, and Europeans created the term witchcraft because they did not want women practicing magic. So the way to demonize women that were practicing magic was to call it witchcraft, or to call the act of practicing magic witchcraft. You look at a witch. What does a witch look like? A witch has a broom. A witch has a cauldron, which is basically a cooking pot, right? A broom, a cooking pot, and a witch is dressed in all black. Now let's look at the significance of these symbols even to modern times to properly explain how they demonize women with the term. Look at the implements, right? There's a broom. There is a pot. A broom and a cooking pot are tools that are used in the kitchen. And those of us who do practice magic, or those of us that are aware of magical practices, know that you use herbs to induce certain conditions, whether it be healing, whether it be harm, whether it be manifesting. And there's certain herbs like bay leaf, cinnamon, so forth. And, there's different herbs that you could use, hot foot powder, different herbs that you could use to manifest different things. So that would be the pot, the cauldron, the cooking pot. Ancient African culture, there's been female pharaohs, female kings, or what you would call queens or pharaohs. We've had women, ancient Africans, indigenous African cultures have had women in high places. But what happens is when you are a European and you come from a cold climate, such as the mountains or the caves where Europeans did come from, the Neanderthal, when you come from these cold climates and you beat a woman over the head with a club to subdue her, or all you're doing is using brute strength to subdue a woman. And once a woman finds out, oh, I could do this magic, I could manifest this using tools. That's why you have something called women's intuition. Because women, because they have wombs, because they have estrogen, because they are life givers by nature, because they are nurturers by nature, they have a direct connection to the planet, direct connection to the herb, direct connection to the spirituality by nature, because they are life givers. Spirits come inside of them when they give birth, right? All of us have different spirits, different waves of energy, different ways of thinking, different purposes. And these different purposes, these different lifestyles are ways of life. And you could get something called the cinnamon broom. And the cinnamon broom is designed to keep evil energy away and also to bring abundance into your home. So a broom in witchcraft, it does not mean anything bad. You see the witch riding on the broom because a broom is something that sweeps away dirt. So it's metaphorical, not literal. When you see the pot, the cauldron, it's metaphorical, not literal. It's about cooking, a woman cooking herbs, especially in Europe when you didn't have the freedom that African women had. Your only power was in the kitchen. So that's why witchcraft got labeled as witchcraft, but it's all magic. There's no difference. And we should never demonize magic or demonize these things because it's African culture. The term magic, M-A-G-I-C-K, not M-A-G-I-C, The term magic was invented by Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley is an old European occultist who basically took the teachings of an African occultist called P.B. Randolph, him and Madame Blavatsky, and created this term. They probably didn't even create it. They probably took that term from Madame Blavatsky, from P.B. Randolph himself. But P.B. Randolph is a black occultist, and you can look that up. So when we're talking about magic, we have to remember this is coming from an African source. And we also have to remember all religions have magic in it. All religions. Christianity, let's see, Noah put all the animals in the ark. I don't know what he did with the dinosaurs, but he put all the animals in the ark, right? That's magic. Turning water to wine is magic. Feeding a multitude of people with 2 fish and a loaf and 3 loaves of bread is magic. Throwing a staff on the ground and it turned into a snake rather, is magic. And Jesus healing the sick is magic. I mean, being resurrected in 3 days is magic. Muhammad at his death literally elevating into the sky is magic. And the Quran itself has a whole separate offshoot where it's strictly magic, strictly sigils and different signs and symbols that you could use to manifest what you want. That is within Islam itself. Realize we have already been living a magical life. When you talk about wanting miracles to happen, when you're praying for a miracle to happen, when you're praying for something to manifest, that's a magical act. That's an act of using your will, your mind, and the energy that you have within to manifest what you want. Now you're praying to Jesus or Allah, or whatever, religion that you're following, the Buddha to the Hindu gods, whatever you're praying to, but you are praying for an outcome. You're praying that your will be manifest or your will be done on earth. That's what magic is. And that's something that we all do. I remember being, young Jehovah's Witness, and I put, some money, the equivalent of the collection plate in church. In Jehovah's Witness, it would be the collection plate, but the donation box, right? So there's a box in there, or at least when I was going. They might be passing plates now. I don't know. But it was a donation box. And you put your money in the donation box. And I remember one time when I was young, I think I was like 14, and I put like $5 in the donation box. And then everything good that happened, I thought, yo, it was that $5 that made everything good happen. You know what I'm saying? Me donating that $5. But that's the power of thought, and that's the power of imagination. But that's how magic works. It's the same thing. People say, when you go to church, have faith in God. Believe God's going to make it happen. Believe Jesus is going to make it happen. Believe and have faith in God that these things are going to happen. Well, what about you having faith in yourself? Because the Bible says, do you not know that ye are gods? The Bible keeps referencing you as a God. There's many scriptures that show that you are a God. At least Jesus even said it himself, that there are people that will do greater works than him. So if Jesus was healing the sick, and Jesus was walking on water, and Jesus was doing all these magical things, then what about you? If you are God, let's say God, right? Let's go with the tradition of Judeo-Christianity. And let's say that God is the father of all of us, right? God is a male. That's Judeo-Christian, where God is a male, right? There's no female aspect in the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. There's no female energy in that. So it's all masculine, right? So God is a male, and God gave birth to all of us. So if my father who gave birth to me, I am part of him, and he is part of me. He gave me his DNA. He gave me his seed, planted it in my mother, so I am part of my father. So for me to, as an adult, right, go to my father now for basic sustenance to take care of everything, then I am not exercising the godhood in myself. For instance, if I was always going to my father, hey, give me some money. Hey, give me a car. Hey, give me a home. Hey, give me this. Hey, give me that. That's the equivalent of me praying to a God to make sure that things are taken care of me. But as an adult, right? And when you are childlike, I think religion is more of someone who is starting, religion is a foundation. Even though it is lies, religion has a basic foundation, which I think is for children. They call the Bible basic instructions before leaving earth, right? And because it's fantasy, most of it is fantasy. If you think about it, there's so many magical things that happen in the Quran, magical things that happen in the Bible. So the equivalent, again, is me going to my father and continuously asking for things as an adult. But now as an adult, I have to manifest these things for myself. I have to make these things happen on my own. I have to go out and work. I have to go out and take care of my own children. I have to go out and take care of my own self. So there's no middleman with that. It's me taking care of myself. This is why religion is more like being an employee with a rule book, and that rule book is the Bible or the Quran, where spirituality is more like being an entrepreneur, where you create your own rules, your own hours, and your own business, because now you're depending on yourself. You're using the power of God or the power of the divine or the power of primordial energy, right? The power of dark matter that permeates the universe, which is basically outer space. And now you're making things happen on your own. You are entering what they call the quantum realm. And the quantum realm, there's all sorts of possibilities. The quantum realm, the spiritual realm, heaven, all that is the same. When you talk about quantum, the quantum world, astral world, heaven, it's the same thing. Just different terms for the same energy or the same resource. We talk about manifesting, and we talk about using magic to execute our will and manifest our will here on earth. And there's nothing evil about that. There's nothing wrong with that. M-A-G-I-C, and then there's M-A-G-I-C-K. The M-A-G-I-C-K is what we're talking about. We're not talking about pulling rabbits out of a hat. We're not talking about someone pulling a card from a deck and then you pull the same card. It's like, wow, that's amazing. We're not talking about Houdini, breaking out of chains and some shit like that. We're talking about making our will manifest, manifesting things on earth, and self-mastery, because that's what spirituality is all about. The Bible, the Quran, they're all about self-mastery, and they're all about making things happen on earth, and also controlling your impulses and your emotions, which is what self-mastery is. Self-mastery is about controlling your emotions, controlling the animal within. So there's nothing evil, there's nothing wrong, there's nothing foul about any of these things. This is ancient African culture. When we talk about magic, when we talk about witchcraft, when we talk about the occult, all ancient African culture. Washington, D.C. is based on ancient African culture. It's based on Cometian culture or Egyptian culture. This is a fact. It was set up just like Egypt. So when we're talking about magic, when we're talking about doing rituals, it's not going to church every Sunday a ritual. It's not going to the mosque every Friday a ritual. It's not praying with a bunch of people a ritual. It's not singing in the choir and catching the Holy Ghost a ritual. And the one thing people always talk about when they talk about magic or they talk about witchcraft, they talk about demons or it being demonic or them being scared. Let's look at it practically. When you went to church with people, were some of these people not fucked up people that caught the Holy Ghost in church with you? When you went to the mosque in the Quran and these people were so touched spiritually, was some of these, and they had the best kufi or the best outfit, was some of these people not wicked people, not evil people that were in your midst? What about the demons or the demonic people that are currently around you now? Some of you have friends that are worse than demons, that you call friends, people that you tell your dreams to and they tell you you can't do it. People that you show love to that don't love you back. Are those people not demons? Think about it. The people that are in your very midst that are toxic, the people that you keep around you that are toxic, are they not demons in the sense of what you think demon is? Because when you break down the word demon, you really get to genius. And you could do that. And I'm going to put the etymology up here. But when you break down the word demon, you really get to genius. Genius. Genius goes from, so we go from genius, which is derived from genie. We all saw a genie in Aladdin. You rub the genie, you make wishes happen. That's where the genie comes from. It really comes from the demon, the term demon. So we have the demon, which goes to genius. Genius goes back to genie, right? And genie goes to jinn, the jinn in the Quran, which is the equivalent of demons. So we have to realize this. In ancient African culture, there was never no such thing as evil. Even in ancient Kemetic culture, when they talk about Set, Set is not something evil. Set is just the opposite pole of being positive. There's positive and negative in life, just like there's sunshine and rain, just like there's fire and water. This is just like there's earth and there's air. There are opposites. So the same opposite that is in nature is the same opposites that are in spirituality, or the same opposites that are in us. When the Cometians showed a snake, they have a snake called APEP. APEP is different than the snake that would represent the Uraeus. With the Uraeus is basically that crown that you see that goes up. That's on the head of these deities. Ancient African culture did not have anything such as evil. And when you study ancient spiritual cultures, there is no devil. There is no demon. The name Satan comes from Set, which is an Egyptian deity. And that's just a lower vibration. That means that you're just in your animal nature, or on what is popular today, you are on your savage. You're being a savage, right? That's all. You're being as animalistic as possible, as remorseless as possible, and as emotionless as possible. You don't have empathy. So you are on your APEP. You're on your Set. You're in your animal nature. But that does not mean that you are evil, because you can rise from that nature into the divine, because the divine is in all of us. The divine is in all of us. God is in all of us. Everyone who breathes is spiritual. So we are all magical. We all have occult wisdom. Religion, the way it's packaged to give you a middleman, so that you have an intercessor between you and God. And this way you always have to go to the priest. You always have to go to the pastor. You always have to go to the imam for your answers. And you always have to pay homage, usually in the form of currency, in the form of your time, in the form of your labor, to these religions. And this way these religions get richer and richer and bigger, and the people in these religions are not benefiting. Now, you can't tell someone who went to church and prayed for their leg to heal to not leave the church after their leg got healed. You can't tell someone who prayed for, grandma to get better and they got better for them to get out of the church. Doesn't make, I understand why a lot of people get stuck in the church, because they prayed for things to happen, for miracles to happen, and miracles did happen. So they attribute that to the church. But just because that miracle happened, it does not mean that your prayer to Jesus is what made it happen. Or else people who practice magic, people who practice Buddhism, people who practice Hinduism would not be manifesting things the same way that Christians who pray to Jesus does. The art of manifestation is basically exerting your electromagnetic self, putting the energy out there to manifest the things that you want, putting your focus on the things that you want, and continuing in repetition to put that energy out there, to create a waveform, to create a lane for that idea in the universe, and for your electromagnetic self to pull that back to you. And that's really what magic is. And we use candles, we use herbs, we use crystals, we use, deities to manifest. And deities. Now, a lot of people will say, well, the Egyptians, they worshipped, animals. They worshipped, animals. Hindus, they worship animals. And, when people are looking on the outside, they'll say people sacrificing animals. Well, let's talk about first the deity worship. When you look at a deity, Shango, Heru, Obatala, whatever spiritual system, whatever occult or esoteric system that you follow. That system, the reason you're using the deity is not someone worshiping someone else. Again, it's not about having a middleman. If you're truly practicing the occult or you're truly practicing magic correctly, it is not about a deity. The deity is an energetic body that embodies some aspect of nature. So when you're talking about, let's say, Oshun has a certain personality. She's loving, she's lovely, she's fruitful, she loves to look at herself, she loves love, she's passionate, and she is the color yellow. She likes sunflowers, right? These are aspects of that deity that correspond to natural elements. So when you are petitioning these deities, when you are doing rituals to these deities, what you're doing is you are harnessing natural energy to manifest in the world. A lot of people that get into witchcraft or magic, when they start thinking about these deities, they look at these deities like Jesus's, or they look at these deities like Muhammad. They look at these deities as, you know, the go-between or something that they have to worship like real people. And this is, you know, Oshun is not a real person. Obatala is not a real person. Heru, Horus, they're not real people. These are energetic frequencies that we are using to harness and using to help carry our power out into the universe. We are manipulating nature in order to see our will be manifest. But it is not an aspect of us worshiping these deities. Like, no one should be like, oh, please, Shango, make this happen for me, or begging. You don't come into spirituality as a beggar. You come into spirituality as pretty much as an entrepreneur. You come into spirituality not with your hand out. You come into spirituality to give, to make things happen for yourself. But you are not begging or pleading for this to happen. You are doing your works and you're knowing that they're going to happen. But when it comes to people sacrificing animals, don't you sacrifice chickens to eat? Don't you sacrifice cows to eat? Don't you sacrifice fish to eat? This is the reality that we live in. We sacrifice animals to eat. When they are talking about sacrificing animals for magical rituals, 99% of the time, they usually are eating that animal afterwards. Or if they're using it for a sacrifice, is to use that as an anchor to project your energy onward. But you are still using nature, and you are not relying on a mystery god or an imaginary deity. When we talk about Heru, we're talking about willpower. We're talking about speed of vision, speed of execution. These are falcon, which is what Heru is, can go 100 miles per hour. It's the fastest animal on the planet, faster than a cheetah as far as speed. So when we're talking about speed or manifesting things swiftly, we are basically petitioning that energy that is already in nature to manifest the things for us. When we want love and when we want, blessings of money, and we go to Lakshmi or something like that, we're basically harnessing that currency of Lakshmi and what she loves and using that to manifest the money or the things that we want. But we are not worshiping it or praying to it like we would be praying to Jesus or Muhammad. This is an independent thing. You basically just latching on to natural energy that's already in the universe. So, again, when people talk about, well, the Egyptians worship animals, well, there's all these sports teams that have animal logos. The Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons, they're not worshiping the falcon. The falcon is just the image of the energy that they want to relay on the sports field. And it's the same thing when you're using magic, witchcraft, or the occult. So I hope I made sense. I hope I demystified some of the scary things that people talk about in magic, because it's really not scary. It's really just getting in tune with yourself and getting in tune with nature. Peace, power, prosperity. Rob Blackstorm, Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if this makes sense. If I don't make sense, let me know. And we'll talk another time. Have a wonderful night, day, or evening.